Hi guys, Megan Fraser here, and on behalf of the CRC Management Working Group and the Standard Terms Subgroup, I just wanted to take a few minutes today and present to you guys on our glossary of standard terms for coral reef restoration that we are developing. I co-lead this subgroup with Whitney Hoot, who's based in Guam, and I myself am based in Miami, Florida, so we are a cross-national effort. But really, we are developing this glossary on behalf of anyone and everyone in the coral restoration world to provide us all sort of some common language to work off of. So truly the project goal of our work here with the glossary is this common language, this common verbiage that we can use. Restoration scientists and managers and practitioners, we really noticed a need in the CRC for the ability to communicate more effectively, especially since we were seeing disparate language used in publications, research papers, presentations, even over a cup of coffee. We realized that people were describing similar work, but were doing so with these sort of seemingly close, but seemingly different words. And so we figured that there could be a better way forward and really made it a goal of ours to increase our ability to share knowledge and compare our work by having this common ground to stand on. And so likewise, this aligns directly with the priorities of the CRC. Having standardized terms and metrics for that matter within coral reef restoration is really important in our ability to effectively communicate with each other. And then likewise, having the words that we use as our standardized terms really be reflective of common language, of words that are actually used out in the field and out in the lab, not having things be sort of overly complicated, but down to the simplistic, this is what's used on a day-to-day basis for those folks who are in this novel field. To note, we are not really aligning with producing metrics, as that is something that has already really been covered in the CRC Restoration Monitoring Guide that came out earlier this year. So our deliverables for this glossary are pretty straightforward. We would like to produce a published glossary of these standard terms that has been peer reviewed. We recognize that that would be a static product, so useful for referencing, useful for folks to refer to when they are sort of showcasing to others and other industries the legitimacy of the work, but again, static and not able to necessarily evolve with us as we go along our journey in this industry. So we wanted a product that was more live and ever evolving. And so something like a Wiktionary is a product that we would like to produce before the end of this subgroup. We think it could be really useful going forward, again, as we continue to evolve in this work. And then lastly, we would like to produce something like a summarized handout of our terms and sort of the main key points for distribution at an in-person event like Reef Futures. We think it would be really useful for, coral restoration folks, new and old, to have the same set of words in front of them while they are at a conference together, so that they can have, again, this kind of shared common ground to stand on as they soak everything in at this conference and learn from one another. So our project timeline, things have taken a little longer than we anticipated. There's all sorts of reasons for that this year. One of the main ones being that Whitney and I are just on totally opposite time zones. But we have made a lot of progress, and we are, the finish line is really in view now. We've sort of had three main phases. So our terms, then followed by our second phase of definitions, and then this third phase, which we're yet to get into, which is the actual product development. So first we had to take those terms, brainstorm all the possibilities, whittle down that list to really the key ones that we needed to define, pass that by review groups and CRC leadership, solidify those, and then here we are now in fall of 2021, really getting into this definitions drafting where we're providing the meat behind all of those terms and really the bulk of the work itself, again, before we get into that last phase, which is the final product development. So our glossary structure really hones in on three main headings: general terms, restoration techniques, and novel interventions. And then within those three main headings, we've got about 10 subheadings that further break down how to understand the terms that we are including. This current structure is really based on many iterations and reviews and revisions from all the feedback from everyone that we got about, how best and how intuitively to understand the terms that we were providing within this glossary. So this is by no means the only way to understand coral restoration terminologies, but it is the way that we found to be the most efficient and intuitive when it comes to how you break down and understand sort of the main areas and main groupings as it relates to restoration activities. And so within these 3 headings and 10 subheadings, we have about 64 total terms that we've honed in on to define. And these terms, like I said, are pretty obviously commonly used in the restoration field by all folks in all countries and regions of restoration. But again, are some of the terms that might be more commonly misunderstood or misused or just used differently across these different regions. So again, we were really trying to fix that problem by providing these definitions that enable folks to have that shared ground together. And, you know, we went through a lot of iterations to hone in on the right grouping of words. It's just a handful here that I've popped up on the screen. But really they represent the ones that we think needed the most care and attention when it comes to sharing within our own community. And so where we are right now, where we are right now is really defining those definitions again, drafting them and refining them with our working group members. We've got a great group of dedicated people who have really stayed the course with us throughout this whole year of all the craziness that it's been and doing everything virtually. They've been really, really dedicated. So within each of our headings and subheadings, we've got these small breakout groups that work to refine the terms. And again, we will be taking those terms and their definitions similar to the first phase, to just the terms phase, to really refine them, share with leadership, share with some of our outside review partners before we finalize the definitions list, and then ultimately get into that last phase. So that's just a succinct overview of where we are with this subgroup right now. There's a lot more detail that I could get into, and I'm more than happy to do so, and I'm sure Whitney is as well. So please feel free to email us if you do have any questions or comments, and we'd be really happy to engage in some further discussion. And of course, we'll be thrilled to share our final products with you all once they are ready to go. So thanks for your time and enjoy the rest of Virtual Refutures.